Elaine Toal is a part-time librarian and a full-time mother from Mai, a small village outside Newry. With a high dependency on coffee, Elaine tries to make time for her writing. Tonight, Elaine is reading in her first flash fiction event, and tonight she is reading Revisiting. Elaine Toal.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here tonight. Revisiting. I felt the cold air seep into my bones as I stood beside my car, its heat fading. From across the road, I looked up at the home we once shared. I wanted to scoff. The Christmas lights were up. It's still bloody November, I muttered. He's become one of those people, I thought smugly, before reining myself in. I was not here for confrontation. I started across the road towards the gaudy flashing lights that surrounded the door. Taking off a glove, I gave a firm rap on the door. I had long since given up on ringing doorbells. They never work. A sliver of light widened into the hall as a door opened and a figure moved towards me. I felt my heartbeat quicken as the adrenaline entered my veins, ahead of what I had mentally billed as the big reunion. The door opened. He loomed large in the door frame, almost filling its height. The light behind him caught a dusting of grey in his hair that wasn't there before. He said nothing, reaching back inside to turn on the light overhead. The bare bulb was blinding to my night-adjusted eyes. I blinked and attempted a smile. He did not return it. I thought the last time you closed this door was the end of this, but here you are. He said it softly so as not to cause a scene. I didn't speak. He seemed composed. When I imagined how this would go, his eyes filled with tears and he put his arms out to me. But tonight, on the porch, his eyes were hard and cold. The warmth that I remembered was no longer there. Did I do this to him? Are you afraid of being on your own at Christmas? You come knocking on my door to see if there's any room at the inn? He spat the words at me. I felt myself flinch. He had landed the first blow, and I saw that he liked that. Emboldened, he continued. If you're looking for your things, you're too late. They went in the skip years ago. I thought about sending them on, but you made sure I wouldn't find you. This much was true. I left without a trace. I just got in my car and I drove. Miles and miles through the darkness, my jaws set, not allowing the tears to fall. I knew that if they started, they would never stop. That all the years wasted together would come pouring out, a salty river of grief for time lived and lost. He was waiting for me to speak, but now that I was here, I didn't know what to say. His attitude had wiped the apology from my lips. I imagined I would tell him I was sorry that I didn't trust him, that my jealous nature had driven a wedge between us, and now, in hindsight, I could see how wrong I was. I had thrown many accusations at him, that he was being unfaithful to me, that I loved him more than he loved me, but there was no proof of infidelity, only a jealous nature and a stinging vocabulary designed to hurt. There were many fights, but the last one was the worst. It was a vicious screaming row that lasted long into the night. We threw words at one another, launched like hand grenades, intent on inflicting maximum damage. I was good at that, filling my words with poison and scorn. That time, he did not retaliate. He just stood there and let the words rain down around him. That's how I knew it was the end. He had no more fight left. I wanted him to know that I had changed, that I was in control of my emotions now, that my younger self would be proud. Before I could compose myself and utter anything, the door behind him opened and a smaller figure appeared. He whirled around, blocking the door, mumbling a few words to pacify the inquirer, but he wasn't quick enough. I saw enough to know that it was her. Then, under the stark light of the porch that was once the entrance to our home, I straightened myself up. I turned on my heel without a word. After all, what was left to say? As I settled back into the warmth of my car, I was glad that the tears for him were unshed. The tears I shed then were for me.